Have you ever stopped to think about it? In a moment of carelessness, a person's life can change completely. It's a simple walk can turn into a story of courage, faith, and hope. These questions may seem dramatic, but the truth is that they reflect a reality that is often invisible, hidden behind the events of the day. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out now. You will be surprised, and to renew his point of view on what it means to be a true hero. It is an afternoon, in common with the sun shining softly on the sky, and a light breeze that caresses your face, the one who walks down the street. In such a scenario, an elderly man in a quiet steps paused, and a lookout, accompanied by her faithful companion in all four of its legs. One dog, a loyal friend and loving, and he walked to the side of the owner, of exploring the environment with great enthusiasm, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. For them, this moment was a routine every day to walk, to talk with one of the neighbors and enjoy the silence of the streets in Little Busy. But, like life, is often a surprise. Something unexpected was about to happen. Suddenly, without warning, the man began to show signs of being unwell. A feeling of weakness and has taken care of him. His face was pale, and he was trying to stop you for a moment, leaning on the sidewalk. At that moment, everything seemed to be normal, too, as if it was just a drop in pressure on the joint. But in fact, it's something more serious was about to happen. No one knew it. The old completely lost consciousness, falling down abruptly on the pavement. In the scene, which seemed to be quiet a few seconds before it turned into a moment of clear danger, but unfortunately, no one around them seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. It was at this moment that the strength and the instinct of the dog, they showed their true value. One being that, until now, seemed to be just a companion to the journal, has come to be the only one to notice that something was wrong with me. Without a moment's hesitation, he began to bark loudly, and a built-in siren to alert you that it echoed through the streets, pulling the underwear to the owner with all his might, and the dog tried to call to the attention of the one who was desperately trying to prevent the tragedy occurred. Even in the face of the silence of some of the pedestrians, his insistence that he is not diminished. At that moment, the one with the dog became more than just a pet. It has become a true guardian, a guardian angel who has measured the efforts to protect those he loved. And what happened next, you are going to find out in the next few minutes. But one thing is for certain, the stories that remind us that loyalty, courage, and the love of a dog is far beyond what we can imagine. That instinct made the readiness of one who knows each and every detail of its territory. It seemed to be turning to the dog at that time in a sort of hero is whisper quiet. Even with the silence that hung in the air, he remained aware of it, as if he could feel the presence of someone or something that we, as humans, we are not able to understand. And it is precisely here that we understand how these animals are very sensitive to our emotions, and in the invisible world that surrounds us. If you've ever had a similar experience, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The connection is created with a dog. It's something that goes through the words. It is an exchange of power, others of which are more than a conversation. And because of this, I want to invite you to share it with you in the comments of your own story, your feelings or opinions on this type of loyalty and courage. Your participation is what makes this space to grow, to build the community that appreciates the value of a moment of true connection with our four-legged friends. This topic has touched your heart, and don't miss to enjoy this video. His tand helped to spread this message of love, protection, and hope. And of course, if you wish to continue with the stories that show you the true meaning of friendship and courage, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any news. And it is part of a network of people who believe that together we can all appreciate these beings are incredible, so much to teach. After all, every story shared here is an opportunity to learn, move, and strengthen our connection with the animal world. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation happens at the very time when we begin to look beyond the surface, when we began to understand the essence of which is hidden behind every gesture, every look. It is at this point that we realized that the connection with these people, so unique it is not only a matter of a wonder or care of the surface, but rather to go on a journey of discovery and a chance to reflect on our own choices, our way of looking at the world. When you look at those animals are often silent, but ever so's face it, we are asked to question our own attitudes and actions. How often in the rush of day to day, and we do not even realize the impact of our decision-making? How many times do we ignore the signs that something needs to change, be be it in our daily lives, our values, or in the way we treat others, including animals. The truth is hidden. It is that this connection is true. It requires a change of mindset. Don't you just admire you from far away. You need to dive in head first into the understanding of which we are all a part of a complex web of interdependencies. Each of our echo the world around us, and the impact could be more profound than we can imagine. Think about the journey of an animal, which very often he stepped out and still remains. A hope, an unwavering, as she teaches us a lot about resilience. They teach us that, even in the face of adversity, it is possible to find an inner strength that drives us to continue moving forward in the fight for a better life, to believe in the possibility of real transformation. This is a lesson of hope. It's something that we can apply in our own way. To believe in a change, in the reconstruction and personal growth is a critical step for those who want to live in a way that is more authentic, the more aware of it. And once you understand this dynamic, we can begin to see the behind the scenes of our own making. It is as if a curtain was raised, revealing the true motives that drive us to act in a certain way, often driven by their standards, that is inherited or in conditions that do not always make sense with what we truly want in our lives. This revelation is powerful because it gives us the power to rewrite our story, make choices that are more aligned with our deepest values. It is not surprising that the process of self-knowledge oftentimes scares you. It is about having the courage to face up to what is most real in us, and at the same time, we are free from the paradigms that keep us from moving forward. It's just that time of the wake-up call that we can begin to understand the impact of small actions, simple gestures, which can lead to a significant change. An attitude of respect, the decision to support a good cause, a change of perspective in the face of a situation that seemed to be indifferent to them. These small changes together, it can create a stream from the impact that extends beyond our own lives and achieve a look behind the scenes of a society that is more aware of it. All of this leads us to a deeper reflection on what it truly means to live a full and authentic. When you connect authentically with the truth hidden behind the surface, we see that every choice has a weight to each position has an impact, and above all, each and every moment of attention given to human beings all around us. It is an opportunity to make a difference. And that realization is what really keeps us going in the direction of the journey, the most significant, and where the processing is not just a concept, but a daily practice that is deeply rooted in the courage to be who you truly want to be. He writes that, "I'm on this journey too. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the true essence of the transformation is much more than a simple change at the surface. It is rooted in our ability to look beyond the surface, to question what we have been taught since a long time, and acknowledge hidden truths that often remain hidden in one's own mind. It is in the process of self-discovery that we find the key to unlock the potential of, nor imagined existed. And at this point, the mind becomes a key element, like a filter that sets the direction for our decisions and actions. Because, in the end, it all begins with how we think about our own attitude in the face of these challenges, and in our willingness to face challenges with courage and resilience. When we talk about impact, and often, we think of something outside a perceived change in the world around us. But the biggest transformation is happening inside of us, in terms of how we think about our own experiences and how those interpretations that shape our decisions. It's such a great message of what happens behind the scenes in our minds, revealing the layers of limiting beliefs a lot of times you don't even realize. These beliefs, which seem to be harmless or even invisible, and it is all true, and anchors that bind the past to the end of the questions. When we are able to identify these units, the release time is near instantaneous, and the day-to-day becomes an opportunity for continued growth. In this movement of self-discovery and courage, and becomes an ally and cannot be separated. It is what drives us to look within, to confront our fears and to challenge the narrative that we've created about who we are or what you can achieve. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to move forward in spite of it. And, going forward, we begin to realize that a lot of limitations on what we think they are so firm, they are, in fact, the buildings that we can debunk you with a little bit of determination and perseverance. It is at this point that the transformation is no longer an illusion, far away, and it becomes a tangible reality, with a daily choice to be who you truly want to be. At the same time, this is a journey of transformation, will lead you to a more in-depth understanding of the behind the scenes of our lives. It reveals that the major barriers that are within us, hidden under layers of fear, doubt, or even with a certain comfort zone that prevents us from moving forward. And here comes the importance of connecting with the truth that is hidden, that they often prefer to ignore it because it requires a change, the courage, and with a dose of risk. But it's just that with the fact that we are free to create a new narrative, a story that is based on authenticity and the courage to follow our dreams without the shackles of insecurity or the expectations of external stakeholders. And all of this, of course, did not happen at one time or another. It's a journey of ups and downs, discoveries, and new beginnings. In a journey that requires persistence, autoconviction, and above all, a mindset, learn from mistakes, and grow from the experience. Each and every decision taken, each and every reflection is made. It is a piece that makes this the puzzle of change. And in the end, the impact of what we don't, it's just a change in the moment, but it is a revolution in the interior, which is reflected in the way we think about the world and our own possibilities. So, we go forward, aware of the fact that it's the true transformation begins in our minds, strengthens our courage, and if it manifests itself in our daily walk, heading to the best of us. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the true essence of this change is on the way. We begin to see not only what is going on around us, but especially to those who are, in fact. It's as if, when you open your eyes to this new reality, we begin to question the stories you always hear about the limitations and failures. And in doing so, we discover the truth hidden in that many times it is hidden behind our own. What is that you're more capable than you think, and that our decision-making, you can create paths that are completely different from those who seemed to be predestined." This is a change of perspective, so that may sound simple. It is one of the most in-depth than anyone can try out. It is about having the courage to challenge the status quo, to look within, and to recognize that much of what we believe to be the truth of it is, in fact, it is a building of our own, a story that we have created over time. And that's what the powerful influence of the mindset on the journey of transformation. When we begin to understand that our thoughts shape our actions, and we see that real change happens first in the mind before you even think about the reality on the outside, it's like a domino effect. To adjust our way of thinking, your decision-making will become more aligned with our values, our dreams, what we're really trying to achieve. This new position of the mental does not arise out of nothing. It is the result of a conscious effort, the decision to challenge the limiting beliefs that often don't even realize that they are there, silently undermining our feet. At the same time, their journey reveals the impact of our daily choices have on the construction of a new reality. Each and every decision, however small it may seem, it is a very important part in the transformation of one's being. And in the process, you learn to appreciate the power of the present, to understand what we're doing right now is what really defines our tomorrow. It's not an instant change, but it is a continuous movement, a development that is built up step by step, with simple actions that together create an extraordinary effect. It's as if we're discovering a rack is hidden in our own life, where each and every detail, every choice, has the potential to have an impact in such a profound way what's coming next. And in this scenario, the signs begin to happen in a natural way. The truth is hidden. It seemed to be far away or out of reach starts to make sense, and it's a journey of self-discovery. It becomes a fascinating adventure. From that point on, everything gets a whole new dimension to it, because we find that the transformation is not something that is external, that is, a change in its internal structure, which is abundant, and it influences everything around us. And as you explore such scenes in our own minds, we become more and more aware of the real power that we have in our hands, ready to be used in the construction of a life more full, more authentic, and in alignment with our deepest values. And then, in the motion, it is, of course, that's the key to this journey of transformation. It is the courage to face up to the truth it hides many times to avoid them. It takes courage to question our own decisions and to rewrite the story we tell about who we are and what we can do. The courage, together with the understanding that it all starts in the mind, and it makes all the difference in the time to take the next step. And this is the next step in this progress is unavoidable. It is the very thing that set the stage for what is to follow, a new stage full of possibilities, yet the most amazing. And with that, the narrative leads to a deeper reflection on how we can use this understanding to truly transform our lives. But that's the next part. After all, The next thing that happens is the continuation of this discovery, a new layer of understanding of what's going to reveal even more secrets about the impact that the choices we make in our journey of personal growth. And in the meantime, it is a question in the air. As you will have seen their own decisions on the way up here, he comments that it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation occurs when we believe that each and every decision we make is like a seed planted in the ground, which very often you don't even realize to be fertile or barren. This is the connection between the choices we make and the impact they have on our daily lives, in our minds. It's something that a lot of people often overlook. After all, in the rush of day-to-day, we end up living in the automated, responding to situations and not really think about why certain actions or emotions. And this is where lies the secret of realizing the right to change, is in the consciousness of our own making. When we begin to see, in addition to the immediate effect, we realize that every action, however small it may seem, it carries a powerful message and a chance for progress or stagnation, depending on the look that you give it to her. For example, many of the people who live and complaining of the same issues, with the belief that life is something that happens to them, and it's not for them. But it is the truth that is hidden, that very few know, is that the narrative is completely changed when we take responsibility for our actions. It's as if, once you understand that we are the authors of our own stories, we can begin to see the possibilities of rewriting the entire points, to turn over a new leaf and follows a new path. This is a change of mindset, is what really sets off a transformation from long-lasting relationship. It is not just a matter of willingness or you want to change it, but to recognize the power that you have the time to start thinking about what to give attention to, what we value, and what we will leave behind. In this journey of self-discovery, many are discovering that it is the truth which is hidden by the back of their own limitations. They have always been there, inside of you, waiting for the moment to be confronted with. And at this point only comes when we stop to reflect on the sincerity. From there, the revelations begin to surface, such as a light that illuminates the paths before seen. It is at this point that the transformation becomes more real, because of every decision you make with a clarity of purpose and start to build a new version of yourself. And it is this version that, in turn, influences all of your routine, your relationships, your emotions, and especially their view of the world. From this understanding, it becomes clear that there is a magical formula for changing from one time to another, but rather is a process of small, meaningful choices, which will accumulate over time. They are the daily decisions about what to watch, listen to, think about, or talk about. They are choices, low noise. Too many times you made the time to get out of bed, or when you decide to take on a challenge. Each and every one of them has the power to impact your mind, your energy, and your willingness to move forward. And, realizing this, begin to create a kind of domino effect. A move leads to another, and the end result is a far-reaching transformation, which influences not only the routine, but also your vision of yourself and the world around them. This is more in-depth understanding also means that many times we carry the limiting belief that you don't even notice it. They are right there for you, crystallized in our minds to shape our actions without being noticed. It is these beliefs that tell you that you're not able to, they don't deserve it, that the world is unjust, or that life is just too hard to do. And the big reveal is that you can, at any time, you decide to question these truths to be imposed, to challenge these limits are auto-impostos, and to open up space for a new narrative. This is a real journey of transformation to realize that the power of change is in your mind and your ability to make decisions for yourself, even in the face of all the circumstances, the most adverse conditions. Now, when you think about all of this, it is clear that the change is not a matter of luck or external circumstances, but from an internal decision. A decision that you've made, it starts to have an effect on your routine, in your emotions, in the way that you look your chances. And this is the move from the inside to the outside. It's the one that really has made all the difference. Because, deep down, it all begins in your mind, in your way of interpreting what is happening around you. When you are able to align their actions with their values and goals, obstacles, the transformation becomes a natural consequence. It's as if, when you adjust the lens of your own consciousness, then you might pass your class schedule and where there was no obstacle. And with that, their journey of growth becomes more and more clear. The more you take, the more it is true. And it is this connection between decision-making, the impact, and the change is something that only few really understand it in practice. Many of them live in the hope that something external is going to change for them when, in fact, the major difference is in how you choose to think, act, and react to situations. That's the beauty of taking control of her own story. You realize that even in the face of challenges, and you have the power to decide how it will interpret them and how you will respond to them. This is the essence of freedom and of a mindset that seeks to grow and evolve, even when the conditions seem to be severe. And when you understand it, you are able to see their own decisions as a tool for impact, able to transform into not only their present, but their future, from the inside to the outside. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation. It is just at those moments when everything seems to be going against you, when the external circumstances seem to want to pull you back, but it's in your mind. This is a powerful source of power and insists on the need to move forward. It is at this point that we begin to realize that freedom is not escape from the obstacles, but to learn how to master them, and in turn the resistance of fuel to the economy. And this change in perspective is a new step is crucial in your journey for any person in search of something more significant. It is a kind of a wake-up built-in shows the impact of the choices we make, not just in the moment, but over the course of a lifetime. We live in an age where information is just a click, but, paradoxically, it is this ease of access to the possibilities to also create an illusion of movement. Lots of people get lost in the search for solutions to the quick, with the belief that happiness and success come in a magical formula of a strategy of decision. But the truth is, hidden behind this mentality is that the real impact comes from the inside to the outside of the conscious decision to take control of their own destiny. For each choice, as small as it may seem to you, it's a window into the transformation. And when you understand it, you are able to see the difficulties as obstacles that are permanent, but as a chance to learn, to develop, to become a man who, even in the face of chaos, and maintain a calm and clear for those who know exactly where you want to go. Such an understanding requires a certain degree of courage and a willingness to face up to what often seems like an unbearable because of the change it requires us to surrender to the old patterns, limiting beliefs. A lot of times, you don't even realize that they are holding us back. And this is where it comes to the power of the mind and the ability to reinvent ourselves, to see beyond what the eyes can pick up on the surface. When you are able to do this, it is a kind of a revelation. It happens. You realize that you have the most freedom. It is the decisions that you make in your posture, in the face of these challenges, the willingness to learn, to grow, to challenge the status quo. To dive deeper into this realm of possibilities, it becomes clear that the journey is not linear or predictable. Every step, every stumble, every victory, contributing to a single narrative, one that is shaping the heart. And at the same time, this narrative goes, the influence of the next choice, creating a virtuous cycle of change. It's as if you were in the process of building an all-new story, a story that is based on the truth, in the power you have within you, the courage to keep going, even when everything seems to be going against you. And, in the process, you will begin to understand the impact on the world, in your life, for whoever it is that is directly proportional to your willingness to act with purpose, to align their actions with their deepest values. A point that many have forgotten is that this change in mentality doesn't happen overnight. It is an everyday of a decision-making continued to become someone who does not live in your truth. You face the obstacles with determination and, above all, believe in your ability to make a difference. And when you recognize it, you will come to realize that true freedom is not something that is external, which can be won or lost, but rather a condition that is internal. Conquered day to day is born at that moment when you decide that your decisions will have a positive impact not only in your life, but also in the world around you. It is a journey of self-discovery and of the revelations contained, where in each step enhances the power you have within you and enlarge your vision of the possibilities. Now, I want you to go even deeper on this topic, because this is the realization that your decisions and shape of the impact that you create is a game changer. When you understand this, you begin to see your routine, your habits, your attitude in a new light. In every little act, every choice you make has the potential to transform not only their present, but it will also open the doors to a future that is more aligned with who you really want to be. And it's this change of mind is not just about reaching goals, materials, and professional, but rather an evolution of the interior that echoes in all areas of your life by bringing more authenticity and more to the purpose, the more you connect with your true essence. This is up to the power of decisions. It also shows that there is a magical formula or one way to be perfect. Each and every person has their own unique journey of discovery, from the successes and failures, the ups and downs of. But what's really important is the awareness that each and every step is an opportunity for growth, learning, and impact. And when you bring it, you will begin to act with more confidence, knowing that your freedom is your ability to act with wisdom and courage. This is the true essence of transformation, to understand that you are the protagonist of your story, and that when you take on the role, you can create an account for the impact of authenticity and the ongoing evolution. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this subject because it's just in that moment of understanding that many people are starting to realize that the real transformation goes far beyond the actions of the surface or of the changes are time sensitive. It's a much deeper connection with what we truly believe, with our values of authenticity, and above all, with our ability to make decisions with intention and purpose. When you internalize it's your freedom, it is their ability to make informed choices. It changes everything. You will begin to see the opportunity in a way that is different, brighter, with a look that is not bound by the limits imposed by the fear, the doubt, to or for routine control. It is as though, all of a sudden, you begin to realize that each and every decision, however small it may seem, it has the potential to impact the whole of your journey in a meaningful way. In the process of awakening, we are also able to understand the truth. It hides many of the times it's the little things that we miss. They are the ones making daily seemingly insignificant, that is, accumulated to create the patterns of behavior that, over time, become the real barriers to growth. And what is more interesting is that when you take over the control of these small choices, you will begin to build a new life, more in tune with who you really want to be. It is a true transformation of one's mind, to which the liability ceases to be something that's heavy, and it turns out to be a very powerful tool of release. This change in perspective is the one that makes all the difference in the time to face the hurdles of dealing with those emotions, and in order to establish a connection with the most genuine that it really doesn't matter. When you understand that it all begins with the decision, you can start to understand the impact of each step taken in the right direction reverberates with your life in a way that is not always possible to predict it right away. It's like a chain of small actions that, taken together, they create an irresistible force of progress. And at the same time, the strength of the breakthrough that reveals the true roots of their full potential, and often hidden beneath the layers of doubt, fear, and expectations of external stakeholders. It is at this point that a journey of self-discovery becomes a real adventure, a never-ending quest for the revelations that the internal can change all the things that seem to be fixed, not changeable. You will begin to understand that the most profound happens when you make the choice. In fact, breaking free from the patterns that bind you to embrace your authenticity, courage. And it is this courage that has made all the difference. It's not about courage, heroism, or an attitude of constant risk, but also a willingness to face the truth about themselves, recognize their own limitations, and will decide that, no matter what others may say or what the circumstances of that show, you are going to go on the path of growth. In this case, it often turns out to be the biggest revelation of who we really are, beyond the masks, which we use to fit in, to please, or to hide our deepest doubts. These are the moments that auto-confronto, which provides us with the understanding of the true impact of our daily decisions, our willingness to learn from mistakes and celebrate the small wins. And together, they create a lasting change. This is a journey of transformation. It also reveals a behind the scenes of what's often called luck or chance, showing that, in fact, it is built on a mindset that believes in your ability to make it happen. And when you start to recognize the power they have at their fingertips, it's clear. You are the architect of your fate, the main character of your story, the one who chooses to stay in your comfort zone, or if you wish to launch into the unknown with the hope of discovering a better version of yourself. It is a choice that requires courage, yes, but it's also an unshakable faith in his ability to rewrite the narrative of your own decisions, your actions, and above all, his desire to evolve. Each step in this direction, it is a revelation and an opportunity to connect with your true potential and to realize that the most powerful born from the inside to the outside. And so, over the course of the journey, you will begin to realize that the truths of the more hidden are often hidden in his own story, in their own nature. It takes courage to look inward, to reflect on what has been buried deep under layers of fear, self-doubt, routines, or auto. But when you have this courage comes in, it opens the door to a transformation, a change that is not dependent on external factors such as, but their willingness to take a leadership role in your life. And in this movement, and the revelations that happen in a natural way, almost as if the universe was conspiring in favor of those who decided to really do something different, for those who have decided to stay true to yourself. All of this brings us to a crucial point, the realization that in the end, the greatest strength is in its decision to move forward, to reach out to the authenticity and construct a story that actually makes sense to have an impact, and that it is the result of a journey of self-discovery and true. If you would like to share some of these ideas, feel free, because they understand that this is a major step forward in the transformation. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the true essence of transformation, is exactly the guts to stand up for what they too often prefer to ignore. The truth is hidden by the back of our daily decisions, our apologies, and the fear of change is that, in essence, that everything is connected in our mind. It is she who shapes our impact on the world, the person who determines if you are able to give really consistent, or if you get stuck in a comfort zone, which, in fact, it's a prison. It is invisible. When we begin to understand that the choices we make are not the only fruit in the external environment, but rather a narrative of what we have built in our minds, it all starts to make more sense of it. The journey of self-discovery. A lot of times, he reveals a series of revelations that seem obvious to you, but that's only if you make it to the concrete, when we have the courage to face up to the truth. And this is the truth concealed is that, for the most part, we are responsible for the impact you've made on the road that we follow through the doors that we decided to open up or to close it. It is a game of decisions that, when played with a conscience, you can change that once appeared to be in a routine that is predictable, in a path of continuous growth. This change in mindset requires you to break your limiting beliefs, the ones that tell you that you're not able to, and that's the success it is for others, or the fear that is bigger than our willingness to continue to evolve. To understand the depth of the impact of those beliefs, we can begin to understand that true power lies in your freedom to choose and act for ourselves, in our ability to create a narrative that we empower them in the time limit. It is at this point that the transformation is no longer something foreign, is now a built-in. It is a real revolution from the inside to the outside. Every decision you make, every step is taken to be a statement on this new mindset. And that's the end of the story we tell ourselves about who we are and about what they deserve, and as far as you can get, goes on to demonstrate a truth that is more authentic, more in tune with our purpose. Because of this, a lot of times, the greater the impact we can have is the same one we have in our own minds. When we align our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions, we have created an invisible force able to move to the mountains. It is the result of a journey of 1,000 auto-questionamento honest, in a quest for authenticity that defy the one that has been imposed by our conditions of life. It is a journey that requires courage, but it also brings with it an immense freedom to be who we truly are, without masks, or masks of a success that does not represent all of our experiences. And here comes the reflection that many overlook, is the importance to understand the behind the scenes of your own story, behind the scenes of some of our choices, our emotions, and our true motivation. When we look at the details more closely, we begin to realize that many of the decisions that we take lightly, or for the sake of convenience, nothing more than a reflection of one's routine, the mind needs to be reviewed. In the process, we learn to identify the patterns that we fight the obstacles that we have created because we think we will not be able to change, even in the small inner voices that tell you that it is not possible to turn a difficult situation into an opportunity for growth. And it is precisely this movement of self-knowledge, that is, the transformation becomes more and more apparent. It is not an effort by the external imposition or on a routine and continuous effort, but rather a shift in perspective that has made all the difference. When we are able to see beyond the obvious, beyond the limitations that have been imposed upon them, we open up space for a new narrative, a narrative of the impact, courage, and authenticity. This is a narrative that is built into each and every informed decision at every step of the courage that we, as small as it may seem. And thus, we have constructed a story that is actually worth living, and a story that doesn't depend on external circumstances, but on the strength of what we find within our own selves. At this point, it is worth reflecting on how all of this connects with our ability to deal with all the behind the scenes of our feelings and emotions. Many of the times, we are led to believe that the change that is out there in the external environment, the people and situations. But in truth, the secret is in the internal management, the ability to deal with our thoughts, with what they believe to be true, and the impact these beliefs have on our reality. It is a true inner transformation, which when earned with reverberations in our life in such a way that it is not always possible to predict in advance. That's the real magic, to realize that the shift in our mindset, we change also the impact that we make in our journey through life from the people around us and even to the wider world. This understanding leads us to a whole new level of responsibility, where each of the decision turns out to be a good opportunity to reaffirm who we are, in fact. And this is a responsibility when faced with a light and authenticity. It is no longer in weight and turns out to be a source of energy to keep you going. After all, it is the real strength lies in our ability to take control of our history and turn every obstacle into an opportunity for growth, and of rewriting our own rules and build a narrative that is truly our own, without the mask, without the mask, without the mask. It is a journey that requires courage, but it also rewards you with the freedom that only a few have the courage to seek the truth. And then, in the midst of all of this, it is certain that the greatest change is born from the inside to the outside. A decision every day to be who we really are with all your strengths and weaknesses, and knowing that ultimately it depends on what we choose to believe and to do it from now on. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is precisely at this stage of the journey that a lot of people are starting to realize that it's the true transformation is not something that happens at one time or another, but rather is a continuous process of choice and a mindset that needs to be done day in and day out. It's as if every decision, every action, it was like a seed planted in the fertile soil of our inner being, and the impact of these seeds are only revealed over time through small changes that, when added together, to create a silent revolution in the way we think, feel, and act. At this point, the big reveal is that the freedom that you seek out there are only in cases where we were able to establish a genuine connection with what our true selves, stripped of their masks and the masks that we put on for the sake of convenience, but of authenticity and the courage to face our own truths. During this period of time, a lot of times, we are faced with obstacles to the internal look bigger than they really are. It is as if an inner voice tried to convince us that we are not able to, and that's the way it is too difficult for you, or that these changes are impossible to achieve. But there comes the importance of understanding that change is not a matter of force or effort, limitless, and so is a change of mindset, a new outlook, which will allow us to see the opportunities even in times of the most challenging. It is at this point that a true transformation begins to happen. To understand what our limitations are, the facts are immutable, but rather the belief that we can reprogram it that way, opening up space for new possibilities opportunities to emerge on the horizon. And it is at this point that the impact of an informed decision as to if it becomes self-evident. You decide, in fact, that we want to evolve, and we are willing to give up old patterns and to create new ones. This is the one that makes all the difference. Each and every choice we make reflects on how far we are committed to this journey of self-discovery and growth. This is not just to change the behavior of surfaces, but a profound transformation, which involves the core of our way of seeing the world, and to stand in front of him. It's as if we're rewriting our own history, and by choosing to star in a story of courage, authenticity, and impact on, rather than stay in the comfort zone, which, very often, it's the prison we create for ourselves. At the same time, it is important to understand that this process is non-linear. There will be moments of doubt and of the implications, challenges, and deep that make you wonder if you're on the right track. And that's okay. These processes are all part of that growth, because it teaches us to be more resilient, to rely on our own ability to overcome them. Every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen our way of thinking and to reaffirm our decision-making, and the fact that even in the face of these difficulties, we are able to move forward. And in the course of its journey, the biggest revelation is that the change actually happens when we learn to appreciate each little step forward, each step taken in the right direction, however small they may seem. After all, these are the steps that build up the stairs, heading for the inner freedom and authenticity, and to take full advantage. And it is here that the journey is made even more fascinating, because you start to realize that all the things that seem to be far away or out of reach, in fact, it is within reach. You just have to choose to believe and act in accordance with this mindset that we're under construction. This is the culmination of a long-term impact. This is not a transformation in the moment, but it is a change that is sustained. It influences each and every decision, every relationship, every dream that we have. And when you understand it, and our perception of the possibilities, and if you zoom in, making it a standing invitation to explore that which we are, and we will become when we allow ourselves to embrace the truth with courage and determination. For this reason, this phase of your journey is as powerful as it is, because it makes you see beyond the apparent limitations, in addition to the labels, which sometimes carry from childhood or from past experiences. When we begin to understand that change is born from the inside, everything changes. The impact of what we create in the world is no longer a distant idea, and it turns out to be a natural extension of who we've decided to make it. And that decision, no matter how simple it may seem, has an immense weight on the way, because it is the one that pushes us forward even when everything seems to come crashing down. In it, we discover that freedom is not something that is given to us, but it's something that we've built for each choice, each moment of courage to be who you really are, no matter what the world expects or requires us to do. He comments that it makes no sense to me. And so, at the end of the day of reflection, I hope that you feel inspired to look at their own choices with the most attention and with courage. The fact is that many times the freedom is in the small decisions in the day-to-day, in the courage to be who you really are, even if your path isn't always easy. So, if you've come this far, it's because they have no desire to keep on learning and getting to know each other better, and that's an important first step. If you think that the content made sense to you, leave a like in this video here. It shows that we are on the right path to share their experiences and to grow along with it. And of course, if you would like to continue this conversation, leave a comment saying, "I'm with you till the end," or something to show that the message reached you in some way. I like to know that what I've shared here, it makes sense to continue on. Oh, and don't miss the next one, which always brings a fresh perspective and a motivation to go further. You can click here on the side in the next movie. You have a feature request which complements everything that we spoke to you today, and I would love for you to continue with me on there as well. In the end, each step we take is an opportunity to learn more about it and to the strengthening of our independence. Thank you for taking this time to reflect on myself. I hope that this video has helped you to understand more clearly the power that you have to make choices that actually will make sense to you. Until next time, remember, the way is made up of small choices, and each of them has the potential to transform his story.